Can you even believe that Christmas is right around the corner? I can't. I truly can't. I look at the calendar sometimes and I think, what happened? How did we get here? Well, what I know is that as a homeschooling mom, it truly can be a challenge for us to find that sweet spot of balance between homeschooling responsibilities and the whirlwind of all of our holiday tasks. So in this episode, we're going to talk about that. How do we balance it? How do we balance the holidays as a homeschooling mom? Because listen, everybody's doing it. All the moms are doing it. But we've got some extra stuff because we're homeschooling moms. But there is a way. And so I want you to breathe easy because we're going to dive into that in this episode. So we think we're done with the pumpkin spice lattes. We can't do that anymore, right? So what do we get? Our hot chocolate. So get your hot chocolate, your peppermint stick to stir it, get your cozy blanket, and let's talk about it. Cue the music. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by homeschooling? I don't know about you, but sometimes as a homeschooling mom, it feels like I have so much on my plate that I can hardly catch my breath. Well, if you've ever felt that way, then you're in the right place, because this is the Catch Your Breath podcast. I'm Inga Masick, certified life coach and a mental wellness advocate. With over 3 decades in education and over 10 years homeschooling, I'm right there in the trenches with you. In this podcast, we're going to dive into some actionable strategies that are not only going to help you manage your stress, but also help you to have more joy, freedom, and balance in your homeschooling journey. So if you're ready to go from simply striving to truly thriving, then let's breathe through homeschooling together. Are you ready? It's time to catch your breath. Welcome to another episode of the Catch Your Breath podcast. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Inga, and I'm excited that I get to chat with you today. If you're back again, what's up, sis? Thank you for joining me again. We're going to be talking about balancing the holiday season with our homeschooling, and that can be a challenge for us because we have unique challenges as homeschool moms. But before we dive in, you know that we've got to check in. So how are you doing? How has your holidays been so far? As we're starting and we're ramping up. If you're listening to this right during the holiday season, you know that we're starting to get into the mix of all of the things. And I cannot even believe how close Christmas is as we are talking about this episode. It seems like it went so fast. And it does that sometimes, but this time it seems incredibly quick. Like it's here already. But I'm praying that as you listen to this series, that we're talking about the stress that can come from the holiday season, specifically as homeschooling moms, that you are taking some time to take care of yourself, that you are checking in with yourself to make sure that you're okay and you're giving yourself what you need. My prayer for you is that you go into this holiday with less stress than you have in every other season, and that you're starting to find ways to manage that stress and to cope with it so that you can truly show up and enjoy this season. So as homeschool moms, the holiday season for us brings, I believe, a unique set of challenges because we're not just managing our usual school routines. We're also juggling the holiday planning, the different festive activities that we may need to go to, all of the commitments that we have throughout the season. We've got really the emotional weight of trying to create this perfect holiday magic for our families. And it can feel like we're really being pulled in a million directions. But here's the comforting truth that I love to think about, and that encourages me as I try to do this. Balance is possible. Throughout this series so far, we've really been talking about how do we manage the stress that comes from being homeschool moms during this holiday season. And we've talked about prioritizing, we've talked about planning, and I hope that the thing that you're getting the most of as we're really talking about this is giving ourselves some grace to accept that we cannot do it all and that it is okay, that we have got to become okay with recognizing that we can't do everything and that we really don't have to do everything. We want to ensure that as we are participating in the holiday season, as we are preparing for Christmas, as we are celebrating the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ, that we are not allowing all of the things that we do to overshadow the real reason for the season. We know that we've got the reason for the season, but also we want to make sure that we are showing up and that we are present for the joy that comes with this season. But as homeschool moms, we also have to make sure that we're showing up for the everyday teaching and the learning moments that we have during this season. Because a lot of times what can happen is, because all of the things are happening that are kind of outside of that homeschooling realm, we can put that academic piece on the back burner. Now understand, your homeschool, your choice. So you get to decide how you want the holidays to look in your homeschool. And if you have decided to take a longer break during this time, if you've decided to do some fun festive things where you're not going to be doing as much as the academic things, that is your prerogative, and you should walk in that. You should embrace that. And please do not let me or anybody else tell you anything different. But if you have decided that you want to continue with the academic piece, you want to have some teaching and learning happening, then what we are looking for is to have a balanced holiday season where you're going to have time to focus on the festive things and also to have some quiet and some meaningful homeschooling days. Now, during the holiday season, I do think that homeschooling can look different. And I was going to say very different. It doesn't have to be very different. But if it does look very different for your family, it's okay. It's okay if you're doing some things different. And 2 or 3 episodes ago, talked about how you can really infuse the festive activities as a part of your homeschooling journey. So if you're doing something like holidays around the world, Christmas around the world, just any of those things. I talked about having those seasonal Christmas books or holiday books, absolutely infused as a part of that. But in addition to that, we want to look at how can we balance it. So here is my no-fail plan to balance it. First of all, if you can, if it's not going to cause you more stress, look at how you can align your homeschooling activities with the holiday theme. And I've said this over and over again, and it truly can be as simple as reading books that are related to the holiday and then incorporating an activity that is based on that. If you have all of the amazing Christmas stories that you want to read with your children, if they are independent readers where they're older and you're not really teaching them to read, you can assign that book to them and they can write a book report on it. They can look at the themes within the book and talk about it. They can even go in and extract what sort of activities or things can we do in our home based on that. You can have book discussions. I said that if you had independent readers, they can take that book. But let me encourage you that no matter what the age of your child, reading aloud to them can be an enjoyable experience for them, if it's an enjoyable experience for you. I will be honest with you that because I love reading aloud so much, I just made the assumption that every homeschooling family loved it, that all parents loved it. And I was like, absolutely, you have to do that. But once again, your homeschool, your choice. If that is not your thing, if you are not into the read aloud, then you can find other ways of incorporating those books and that reading into your homeschool. And you can do history, because you've got history of the holiday, history of Christmas, history around, like Christmas around the world, as we talked about, where you're still learning, you're still doing that. You can, if you're making or you have decorations, you can look at the history of the different types of decorations you're doing, like the candy canes, the Christmas tree, any of those things where they're still learning about it while you're still doing it. If you choose to decorate throughout your day, then as you guys are putting up each thing, you can talk about that. You can learn about it and then do something with it. You can create those decorations for art time. You can make it, really can work it any way that you want to. What you're doing is, I always say that one of the most important skills of being a effective homeschooling teacher, a homeschooling parent, the teaching parent, is to blend your learning and to be a detective for everything that you're learning. How can I make this a part of our learning? Because one of the things that we talked about very early on in the earliest episodes is that homeschooling is freedom, because now you don't just have these 8 hours of the day, even 6 hours of the day, where you're just focusing on academic. You can infuse it throughout your day. So I don't believe that your homeschooling should be your entire life, but I do believe that education is life. And so you're finding ways to incorporate that throughout. So you have all of those amazing cookie recipes that you might want to do. We have a book, and I don't remember I just looked at it, but I don't remember who the author is. But we have a food science book, and it talks about all these different things with food science. And so we've looked at that book. We're still going through it, so we haven't gotten as in depth in all of it. But one of the things that I think is interesting is we were talking about the food science, but then looking at this show called, I want to say The Bake Squad. I'm not sure, but I think it's by the creator of the milk cookies or the milk brand or whatever. And I was talking to them about how she looks at the chemistry that is involved in cookies. And that took us on a big discussion, so that my oldest son likes to do cookies and he's trying all these different things. And when they don't work out, we get to talk about the chemistry in that. And so think about how you can use those cooking themes that you're doing, all the meals you have to do, all the cookie things, to infuse the science. Listen, recipes and making things, that's reading. That's math. That's science. Use that, check that off, keep it moving. I was just thinking the other day that one of the things that we're going to do, because everybody now is in my house, is in this place where they want to bake and cook and do all these different things. And so I was thinking, you know what? We're going to go through, look at all the different Christmas cookies. We're going to have everybody make their own Christmas cookie. And I'm not sure if we're going to do it all in the same day or we'll spread it throughout. And then I'm going to give them the recipe. So first of all, they're going to be looking at all the recipes. So that's all reading. Then they've got to read the recipe, gather the materials. Then they're going to bake it. And then we're going to have discussions about how they turned out and look at the science with that. Science experiments, right? So one of my sons will not make chocolate chip cookies anymore because he accidentally put baking soda instead of baking powder or one or the other, and so it turned out very differently. That's science. And so you can actually talk about why did that happen that way, and so it becomes fun. And so while it's fun for them, think about all of the skills that they're learning, and think about you're still having those traditions, you're still having the festive time that you want to have with them. Even when you're decorating cookies, you can still do science with that because you're doing colors and all of that. But also, let me say this, because sometimes that can feel stressful to think about everything that I have to do. I have to think about how I can make this academic. That is a part of teaching, as being the teaching parent 100%. But definitely, your homeschool, your choice. If you do not want to use that, if that takes away from the enjoyment for you, then don't do it, because you do not want this to be a stressful thing. If you're finding that by including some of these, festive things, these holiday things into your homeschool day, that it stresses you out, then definitely take that out. Don't do that. What we're looking for to have a good balance is blending learning with the seasonal spirit. You're blending learning with the things that you were already going to do. That's why there's a balance, because you were already going to do these decorations, the cookies, all of that. You've got to teach, you've got to learn. And if you can be a detective and look for how you can make that connection, then you're not adding more things and you're getting it done with your family. Another thing that you want to think about doing is involving your kids in the holiday preparations. This is a great way to teach them some practical life skills and to make them feel involved. And so it doesn't have to feel like it's a teaching lesson if you don't want it to feel like a teaching lesson. But if you can infuse it, if you can count it, and this is one of those places where having your reflection journal is going to be key. And I'm saying your reflection journal, but it can be your reflection lesson plan book, whatever it is, where you are writing what you've done after the fact. Because in that moment, you may not be able to see the academic value, but afterwards, when you're jotting down what you did, you may be able to say, oh, okay, I think that is science, or that looks like reading, or what did they learn from that? And then you can even ask them and talk about what they've learned, and you'll be surprised at what they've learned. And then lastly, don't shy away from adjusting your homeschool schedule. It's okay to have some lighter educational days, or even to take a few days off to fully immerse in the holiday festivities. And we're going to talk about taking a break in a couple of episodes, if it's not the next episode. And what we want to do is to be able to take those breaks without any guilt. So plan for that. one of the most beautiful things about homeschooling is that you get to create it to look any way that you want it to look. And you get to make it a part of your family's life. Remember, homeschool is an addition, right? It's coming in as a part of your family's life. So it is at the mercy of your family and your schedule. You make it work in the way that needs to work for you. As we think about balancing all of these aspects of our lives, we truly want to strengthen our resolve about what we can do and how we can do it during this holiday season. So take a deep breath with me and say, I balance homeschooling and holiday preparations with ease. I balance homeschooling and holiday preparations with ease. I know I've been doing a lot of the affirmations lately because even for me, there's a lot of things been going on. Even with my health right now, I'm trying to get it together. And I find that I've got to remind myself to think on the positive things. And I've got to keep saying it to myself over and over again until it sinks in. Even after I'm praying, I'm still saying that. And when I'm saying it and I don't feel it, I'm praying it into existence. So I pray that those words will seep into you and that they will not just be words, but they'll just be a reminder to you, a gentle reminder truly, of your ability to navigate this season with two things: grace and composure. A lot of times during this season, you know that we can be having a lot of stress, and that's what we're navigating it through exhaustion, stress, overwhelm, and we're already feeling some of that. We may be feeling some of that in our homeschool journey, and then the holidays come and we put that on top of it. We do not want it. So I'm praying that what we will have during this season is grace and composure, that we'll be practicing those grace and composure muscles, and then they will continue to feed into our homeschool. That's our time for today, and I hope you're walking away with the feeling a little bit lighter and more confident about the weeks that are coming up as you're going into this planning, that you're like, you know what, this feels really doable. Like, I don't have to stress. I can have some grace. I can have some composure, and I can have some fun. Are you having fun this holiday season? We'll talk about that later. But truly, that you can truly have some fun, that you're not just the one behind the scenes orchestrating all of that. And I know there's a certain amount of joy that we get as moms being behind the scenes doing it. I know. Listen, I'm an addict to it as well. So yes, there's this stress, but just kind of being there, kind of orchestrating it, having these things go into play. There's some fun to that. We can enjoy that. But we want to achieve some balance. And achieving balance is about finding what works best for you and your family. Remember that I'm telling you the things that we do in our family. I'm encourage you and try to help you to not stress, but there's no one size fits all solution. You are finding what works for your family. And if you already know what works for your family, do that. I just want to encourage you, and I'm praying for you, that it's not stressful, because I know what it feels like. I know how it can be. And if you're seeking more personalized strategies to make this balance a reality, I want you to know I'm here to help. If you are listening to this and you're already in that place where you are already exhausted and stressed out and overwhelmed going into the holiday season, and you know that you're feeling the weight of it already, and you're thinking, well, this is helpful for the holiday season, but I know that right after that, I'm still going back into that stress and back into that overwhelm, back into that exhaustion, then please reach out. And together we really can work on a plan that's going to bring you some peace and some joy to your homeschool, not just for this holiday season, but throughout the whole holiday. My desire and my goal is that we are coming up with strategies that can serve you throughout your entire journey. So you can just keep going back and doing that. And 6 months is a long time, but it is a beautiful opportunity for us to really connect, for us to go deep. Because sometimes we can say surface and give you strategies, which is why I said at the beginning of this podcast that we're going way beyond curriculum. We're looking at really what are those things that we can do to ensure that you're not stressed out, that you can enjoy this, that you can smile, that you can find time for yourself, that you can do some of the fun things that you want to do. And honestly, that you can get to that point where you can now put some other things into your life. So if you're even sitting here saying, well, how is it that you're doing a podcast, running 2 businesses, homeschooling your children, and still smiling and laughing? first of all, understand that yes, it is challenging, and there are a lot of times that I am feeling just like you, like, what am I doing? This is too much. But also, there are some strategies that are important to put in place that are going to help you to be able to do this well and do it the way you want to do it, because well is really relative to what well is for you, what that means for you and your family. If you want to learn how to do that, then we can work together. Until next time, I pray that you will continue to breathe easy. You've got this because God's got you. You've got a community here surrounding you. And I cannot wait to see you in the community, or in my emails, or on my calendar, or right here next time. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that this episode empowered, equipped, and most of all, encouraged you. Don't forget to share your thoughts on today's topics, because I'd love to hear how you're implementing these strategies. And you can do that in the free community, where you can connect with me and other like-minded moms. You'll get some practical tips for homeschooling and teaching your child, managing your stress, and prioritizing your self-care. You can also ask questions there. You can participate in the fun challenges. And of course, you can celebrate your wins, because we like to party over there. Also, if this was helpful and you know that it can be helpful to someone else, leave a review or share this with another homeschooling mom who needs to catch her breath. Mommy! Well, that's my cue. But before I go, I want to leave you with these words from Philippians 4:6-7. I pray that you won't be anxious about anything, but that in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, you would present your request to God, and that you will experience the kind of peace that surpasses understanding as you navigate the stresses of life and homeschooling. Until next time, remember to take a moment to catch your breath.